Hello, friends. Welcome to Career Talk. And this is Sindhuja. Thank you so much, Sunan, for this wonderful opportunity once again. So, in this video, we are going to see how to calculate the efficiency and the health of the product backlog in such a detailed manner. By end of this video, you will be having some clear picture around the efficiency and health, how we can calculate it, such a detailed one. Okay, so moving to the next slide, table of content. So what is a product? What is a product backlog refinement? Why PBI needs to be refined? PBI refinement and calculation, PBI items efficiency and health, benefits, best practices, tools and techniques, asking powerful questions, look of healthy PBI, matured PBI, look, magical code to remember before PBI refinement, reference links. Of course, we are not going to cover the complete table of content today. We are going to see just till benefits. Okay, but here in this video, we will be completely showcasing the calculation and how to determine our efficiency and health. Okay, so in our next video, part 2 video, we will be seeing the best practices, tools, and techniques. How can we pose some powerful questions and codes to remember? Okay, okay, so moving to the next slide. What is a product? Okay, so many people and many of the organizations having the understanding of the product is something different. What the real product means. Product, a definition of product and examples here we are going to see. Product is something that satisfies business demand or need. It can be anything. It doesn't mean that it should be physically present. Okay, so that can be physical or not, that is generated through process and that provides some value to a market. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's like realistic touchable, something like that. No, it doesn't mean that. Okay, so example, mobile phone, train services. In our day-to-day life, we are using this Azure DevOps or Jira tool, right? So these are also some examples of product. Okay, for an instance, if we take train services, it's like train service of the train is like carrying the passengers from one point to next point, another destination. So this is not alone the single one what the train services are doing. They are again looking for the registrations, booking details, and then maintenance of the trains, services. So these many services behind this scene. Okay, so these are also a product. Okay, what is a product backlog refinement? So product backlog refinement is the act of reviewing the product backlog items to make more clear and adding more detail, making them more estimatable, and ordering the items which is really needed in the market in the product backlog. Okay, and the main thing is that are not part of the ongoing sprint. Ongoing sprint, I'm stressing it again. Why? Because I had this question in my PSM too. I did some mistakes because I didn't notice the term ongoing sprint. That was a true or false question. I just take that as a true. But make sure to note this one. So only I'm repeating it. Okay. So we will do backlog refinement for the sprint, for the future sprints, not the ongoing sprints. So key to remember, refinement is an ongoing process, but not for the ongoing sprint. It never stops because requirements and opportunities never stop changing. Detailing everything upfront would create waste and delay the delivery of value. So you don't want to detail everything upfront. Product backlog is always emerging one. So in Scrum and Agile, we can expect changes in the last minutes as well, right? So this is one point. Okay, so moving to the next slide. Why is product backlog refinement needed? So whatever we are doing before we are getting into this thing, if you're clear what does it mean by and why it is needed, then the remaining things will be very easy. So why is product backlog refinement needed? To ensure the product backlog is healthy. So in a healthy product backlog, the items that will occupy the development team for the upcoming sprint should be refined so that any one item can reasonably be done within the sprint time box. Okay, so that is why we are looking for ensuring the product backlog is healthy. So product backlog items are discussed until a shared understanding is reached. So items are broken down until the developers are having some fair confident that they can complete them within a sprint. Okay, so this gives the product backlog a level of transparency that reduces the risk. So the risk is exposed by not completing an item within a sprint and thus giving away the opportunity to generate value for the organization. So if you are predicting the risk ahead, then it will be very easy for us to do our sprint, right? So that is the reason product backlog items are discussed very clearly until a shared understanding is reached by the developers. Okay. That is why the refinement is an essential product management activity to have a successful scrum team. Okay. Okay. So moving to the next point, to avoid refining too much ahead of time. And also sometimes some team may test so much of refinement activity, but that is also not needed. So only we are, because our PBI is emerging and we may expect changes at any time. So we are not supposed to do that. So Scrum team knows that it is time efficient to refine only the top items in the product backlog because they will inevitably learn new things that change their view of items further down or make them redundant. Okay, so therefore Scrum teams refine only items they can move along with for the next two sprints, that thing. Okay, so ideally some understanding is that we can spend some 10 percentage for this refinement activity. However, it varies for every team. Okay, moving to the next slide. PB efficiency and health, product backlog efficiency and health. Okay, so the efficient value that can produce as a part of refinement session in the backlog is known as backlog refinement efficiency. So after at the end of the refinement session, what is the main efficient value we are getting out of this session is known as backlog refinement efficiency. I will explain you clearly in the next slide with some good examples. For a product backlog to be in good health, it must contain enough user stories in the ready state with a cumulative number of story points greater than average velocity. What does it mean by user stories in the ready state with a cumulative number of story points greater than average velocity? So I will explain these points in very detailed manner in our next slide. Okay. If the total number of story points of user stories in ready state is about 2 or 3 times the average team velocity, then the product backlog is even in better health. Okay. Having more user stories in ready state, then that is wrong since indicates too much planning. Again and again, I'm repeating this as well. How product backlog refinement is important. Similarly, we should have to know what we have to refine and how much item we have to do that. Okay, that kind of predictions and that kind of calculations also really needed for us. Okay. Okay, so moving to the next slide. Okay, so efficiency calculation. Okay, so first consider the left side picture. First refinement session of sprint 1 of 1 hour duration. So this is absolutely an example we have drafted to showcase how it will be. It varies for every project, every program, every team. Okay, so this is just an example. You just assume we are in sprint 1. We are about to do 1 hour of refinement session. 1 hour only we are doing for this one. Okay, this is our assumption. We are doing it. So out of that session, we could refine three user stories. That means the story points are like 5, 3, 2. Okay, so after that 1 hour session, we refined almost 10 story points. Okay, so total story point refined after sprint 1 is 10. And second refinement session of sprint 2 of 1 hour duration, again it's 1 hour duration. In my second refinement session, I can refine only one user story, but the story point is like 8. The user story may be very complex, or my team members may not having the appropriate understanding of that user story. Requirement may not be clear, so much of discussions and those things might have taken the time, and they might have identified so much complexity and risk or anything else, or this requirement is completely new for them, so it may take some time for them. Okay, so based on these things, they could have done only one user story refinement, that is having story point of 8. In my third refinement session of sprint 3, okay, so in this session, again it's for 1 hour of duration, but in this session I can make 6 user stories refined. Out of the 6 user stories refined, I got the story points as 14, like 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. I just read the yellow one user stories against the user story points. Okay, so it is like in end of the third refinement session, I got 14 story points refined. Okay, it's like 6 user stories, 14 story points at last after the refinement I got. Okay, so average of the 3 refinement session is 10. That means, please note the pink one. Okay, sprint 1, 10 story points I refined. Sprint 2, 8 story points I refined. Sprint 3, 14 story points I refined. If I take average of these 3, I will get 10 story points in an average. Okay, so look at the green one in the left side picture. Green in the sense not dark green. Oh, sorry, it's not green, blue, I think. Um, okay, so average of 3 sprints refinement session is 10. On an average, in one refinement session, which is of 1 hour, team refinement is 10. So I can come to some kind of prediction like, if my team members is about to do 1 hour session refinement session, so approximately they can refine some 10 user story, or sorry, 10 story points. Okay, so this prediction or this average calculation I can do based on this calculation. Now, how we can calculate it against velocity? So moving to the right side picture, so sprints velocity. Say for an instance, my team member can achieve some 15 story point in at the end of sprint 1. Okay, my team members velocity is 15 story point they can achieve, and in sprint 2 they can achieve some 20 story points, and in sprint 3 they can achieve some 25 story points. Okay, so this is my team members velocity. So in an average my team member can achieve some 20 story points. If suppose someone is asking how many story points your team member can achieve at end of the sprint, approximately is 20. It may extend some 5 story points, it may reduce some 5 story points, it's approximately 20. So in an average 20 story points my team member can deliver at the end of the sprint. Okay, so in this, at this moment right now, my product backlog is having just 10 story points. That means only 10 story points I refined and I'm having that in my bucket. But what is my average velocity? So average velocity is 20, but at this moment my product backlog is just having 10 story points refined. Okay, so only 10. Ideally, if you want to have your product backlog more healthy, your product backlog should be refined 2x. That means average of your velocity into 2 or 3. Again, average velocity for my team is 20. Then if I want to keep my PB healthy, I should have to have 20 into 2 either 40 or 20 into 3 either 60. That means to be ready. So this is what in my previous slide I mentioned. So average velocity, it should be greater. Ideally, my product backlog should be greater than the average velocity. Okay. So product backlog should have some 40 story points or 60 story points, uh, state in ready state. Okay. That much story point should be in the refinement. Again, this is such an example what we have predicted and we have done. It varies for every team. Okay. So 40, 40 is the expectation, at least 2x. If I'm taking 20 into 2, at least 40 is the expectation. But in my current product backlog, just 10 story points alone is refined. Still, I need 30 story point. That is in that orange one. Okay, we still need to refine 30 story points. So as a team, we need three more refinement session. How I calculated the three more refinement session? Again, it's a beautiful question, right? So 30 story points I need to refine still. I know my team member, if suppose my team member is spending some 1 hour, they can refine some 10 story points. Okay. So again, 30 story points I want to do. In 1 hour, my team members will do 10 story points. So ideally, I need three more refinement session. That is three more hours I need. You can say it in hours or you can simply say three more refinement session I want to do. So this is a calculation how you can do for your team. And if you're having ready with your product backlog for the next two sprints, that means greater than your average velocity. That is again, if your average velocity is 20, if your product backlog is having at least 40 or 60, then it means your PB is healthy. Okay, so that is what we are insisting here, emphasizing here. Okay, so as a team, we need three more refinement session in order to make our product backlog healthy. Okay, so this is a simple calculation. I hope it's clear for you guys. Okay, moving to the next slide, benefits. So gaining insights. So why are we doing this product backlog refinement? To gain more insights about the product or end goal or the vision. Okay, clarify value. Yes, many people may not. We may have some new joiners. We may have some change in our um, or outcomes or something else. So to clarify the value and have the clear understanding, we are doing this product backlog refinement. Increase transparency. This refinement session really helps and increase our transparency, like what is our understanding level, what is their requirement, what is the customer need, those kind of transparent information we will get in this refinement session. Estimating product backlog items, we can have some rough estimation in our product backlog refinement session itself, because we will be having some clear cut understanding what is the expectation, how tough is it, how complex it is, what are all the risks, what are all the differences, any financial loss, any security threats. That kind of information we will get it. Breaking down of product backlog items into consumable pieces. So uh, again, I said in some two slides ago, right? So we have to break down the product backlog items into consumable pieces. For an instance, if I want to deliver some login page or something else like that, I cannot deliver it within a sprint. I have to make it chunk by chunk. I have to deliver it chunk by chunk. So that is the ideal intention of this product backlog refinement. Forecasting. So based on this refinement session, continuous refinement session, or in this refinement session, we can forecast, we can imagine, we can visualize what is the real need of the customers, or how we can do, how we did in our past. That kind of predictions we can easily make in this product backlog refinement session. Incorporate learning. As a team, we all together, when we are doing this kind of product backlog refinement sessions, and getting clarified with our stakeholders or product owner, in this refinement sessions will give more learning on the business side as well as the technical side as well. Okay, more on the business side. And ordering the product backlog, yeah. At the end, if team members are posting so many questions, and what is the requirement of this for this in the market right now, and how competitive this with market, this kind of questions or this kind of thing, make the product owner to order and prioritize it properly. So ordering the product backlog, which will help, which will add more value to the business. eliminating or reducing dependencies. Yeah, if we had these sessions very properly, we can easily identify these dependencies or issues or risks in advance. So irrelevant items get thrashed. Sometime we will be having some hundreds of items in our product backlog which we may never touch or which we don't want at this moment. So those items still relying in the product backlog, but we won't use it. So this items can be trashed and we can keep our backlog clean. That is also another one intention. Okay, so that's it. This is best practice. This we can discuss in our part 2 session. Thank you so much. And yeah, we will be in touch with the next session of this PBI refinement. Thank you so much. Best practices. Product backlog refinement works only when it is a team effort. Okay, so the refinement should be done with a great team effort. It is not like product owner and scrum master alone can do everything. Of course, sometimes they will do, but most of the time when we are including not all the team members, at least few team members, it will be more effective. Okay, it is the best practice and recommendable one. It is not like always you have to implement this one. Okay, according to your situation, according to your team, you can slightly alter it and work on building a core product discovery team. Okay, and also before doing this product backlog refinement or when we are doing this product backlog refinement, try to involve core product discovery team as well. In some organization there are some teams so called a product team itself or product discovery team itself. Okay, so try to involve them. They are the one who's very close to the customers, or maybe they are the customers. We have to work with them and we have to understand what is their requirement and what is their need at the current market. Okay, so user needs or need of the hour. So for that one we can include the core product discovery team to have this session more effectively and efficiently. Avoid lengthy and long drawn meetings. Yes, of course, recently I shared a post in LinkedIn that was shared by Elon Musk. I'm not sure whether it was really shared by Elon Musk or not. In that, some good practices were suggested. Don't have some lengthy meetings, it won't give some fruitful conclusion to you. Definitely everyone in the meeting will be fed up at the end or will get tired after this lengthy meeting. So don't have lengthy and long drawn meetings. Have it in a chunk by chunk. Okay, uh, at least a half an hour or 1 hour. That every day half an hour or every day 1 hour. That is more than enough. Make it deep criteria we all know very well. It should be detailed enough and emergent and estimable and prioritizable. So all the product backlog items should meet the deep criteria. Not all, at least few, which is going to we are going to pick it in the next 2 sprints or next 3 sprints, like that way. Never forget the customers. When we are doing product backlog refinement, we shouldn't do as per our convenient and which is easy for us to implement that way, but we always remember we are doing this for the customers is the end user. So we need to remember the customers all the time. Follow the 20-30-50 rule. Yes, of course, it is one of the great rule you should have to follow when we are doing product backlog refinement. 20, that means 20 percentage of your PBI should be ready to take up in the upcoming sprint. Okay, so that way our product backlog should be available, and the 30 percentage should be very detailed enough. Okay, but still some kind of discussions should have happened, and some more granular details should needed. That way we have to have 30 percentage of our backlog items. Okay, it is having some detailed details, but still some kind of discussion we need to do. That way we have to maintain 30 percentage, and 50 percentage it's again just an ideas, or otherwise it is expectation. It may be the expectation in the upcoming markets, in the upcoming timelines or months or years. That way we will have the 50 percentage, but 20-30 is really important. 20 percentage should be ready all the time for the next 2 sprints, and the 30 percentage is should have the appropriate details, but still some discussions may. may happen. So follow the 20-30-50 rule. That is one of the best practices. And treat the product backlog meeting with seriousness. Okay, before pitching into the meeting or before getting into the meeting, not only for this meeting, for every meeting, have the agenda appropriately, or otherwise without any conclusion the discussion will go. If there is no proper agenda, if there is no proper clarity on what we are going to discuss, what is the input, what are all the expected outcome, if we don't have that idea, being a scrum master or otherwise team members also, it should be unified goal should be there. Okay, so if you're not having that one, the meeting is like waste of time for everyone. So always treat each and every meeting with some seriousness, not to waste others time. It is one of the greatest sin what I always feel is that wasting of others time. Okay, so try to avoid that as well. And identify dependencies. Of course, we should have to identify the dependencies, but few dependencies we may not identify when we are doing the product backlog refinement also. But in planning, we will do that. But if you are very sure and if you are very well aware, if we pick this item, these are all the dependencies. Please identify it. Try to identify at most dependencies in the product backlog refinement itself, so that we can, based on the dependencies, if suppose something may not happen immediately, we can reprioritize and we will work it out, or otherwise we will split how we can make this one. So that kind of challenges we can take in product backlog refinement itself, instead of having that in the planning meeting or in the upcoming sprint, when sprint progress. Okay, tools and techniques, as I said already in the beginning, we do have so many tools and techniques available in the market to have the product backlog session, refinement session, very effectively and fruitfully. Okay, so this is one of the tools, lean ux canvas. It is available in the internet itself. You can download it and you can use it as per your convenience. So what would be the first point when we are using this tool? This tool is a self-explanatory tool only. It will give some clear picture just if you see it. Okay, so business problem first. When we are doing our product backlog refinement, we have to understand what is a business problem, what is a customer expectation at this moment, and what is the need for them in the market or in their website or something. Okay, so identify the business problem is the key. And business outcomes. So we identify the business problem and what would be the business outcomes expected out of this problem. If there is some problem, there is some expectation. Say for an instance, if I'm logging into a website, it is asking for some credentials, but that credentials, after giving that credentials, the page is taking so much of time to log. That is a problem, that is business problem. So as a customer, or you think, assume you as a customer, what would be your expectation? You will expect this page should load within a milliseconds or within a second. So that would be the outcome what you are expecting. Okay, and users, think who will be your end users. For an instance, if you're targeting for a college users or some medical medicine patients, that kind of health industry patients, so that way think of your users and think in the perception, if you are a user, how you will treat for this problem and what is your expectation, how you want to see in this, uh, see the product with this problem. So that way you have to think from the user perception, user outcomes and benefits. If I'm implementing this feature or if I'm implementing this uh, user story, what would be the benefits or outcomes that my users are going to get? So that is also one point you have to ensure. Okay, so if you are clear on this, when we are progressing with our sprint, we will be very uh, we will dedicate ourselves and we will work. Okay, this is what their expectation, and if you are delivering in this way, users will be satisfied or customer will be satisfied. Okay, and hypothesis. So hypothesis in the sense, pose some questions. What are all the options, what are all the solutions I can provide for this, what are all the questions, some different hypothetical questions you may get. So that kind of questions you can post and you can brainstorm with your team members and product owner, or whoever is attending on the product backlog refinement session. With them you can work. Okay, and then what is the most important things we need to learn first? When I'm ready and I'm about to implement these things. Okay, so what are the most important things I have to know before I start doing this? Okay, and the last point and the eighth point, what is the least amount of work we need to do? Learn the next most important thing. Okay, so in this point, we have to think what is the least amount of work we have to do to learn the next most important thing. Say, for an instance, if I want to implement some other most important thing in my upcoming sprint. Okay, so identify that that as well in this sprint itself. Say, for with less effort. Okay, if you are clear on the plan what we are going to do in this sprint and the next sprint, obviously when we are going to do the product backlog refinement in the next sprint, we won't spend much time and we can reduce the time and we will implement or enhance the already available product backlog refinement. So that is how we have to work. We have to think at least for one or next two sprints. Okay, so this is one tool you can use. And another one tool is it UX fish bowl. This is a concept in liberating structure. Many of us may aware of this one. So UX fish bowl is that it's a kind of people will sit in a round way. It's a kind of round table conference. That way people will sit. Core team members or core key stakeholders or end users or some key persons will sit inside the circle, and the remaining people who wants to know more about, say for an instance, inside the circle, key stakeholders or end users or a product team. Okay, those people will sit inside and they will discuss what is the issue we are facing at this moment and what we needs to implement. The outer circle members, maybe the team members, who they are the listeners. Ideally they are the listeners. Outer circle people are the listeners, and the inner circle people are the speakers who will speak and discuss more about the problem and the consequences and the causes what they are facing in the market and the urgency of this issue. So this way they will discuss, the outer circle people will listen, and based on that ideally they will listen. That is their core nature of the work. They will listen and they will get the points and they will do the product backlog refinement. So this is also one concept which will help us to do the product backlog refinement very effectively. Moving on to the next day, Miro board. We everyone uses one. We all know Miro board is very helpful in so many things. We can use this board like this for brainstorming and value proportion canvas, user story mapping, backlog, and scrum board. This way, Miro board is very helpful for so many activities. Okay. Goldilocks principles and its questions. When we are doing the product backlog refinement, or if you're new scrum master to a new team, you may not aware or your team members may not aware what we are doing, why we want to do this, what is the purpose of it, what is the intention of this, what is the learning I'm getting out of it. uh, it's a gray area, it's a kind of gray area, or it may be the far-fetched answer. So that time when you use this Goldilocks principles, everyone will be on the same page and having that goal or unified goal or mindset. So this is why we are implementing this one, and this is how it is going to benefit the user, and this is the issue. So to have this, use this Goldilocks principles and its question. So transparency. Okay, how well do stakeholders and the scrum team understand what is planned for the product? Pose this question. Okay, pose this question in a very open manner. What is your understanding of this product? Why are we developing this one? How frequently are the interested stakeholders surprised by what was delivered? So if you are a new scrum master to the team, this kind of questions will help you to understand what is your team's understanding about the product, and what is the expectation of the stakeholders, how frequently they are interested or surprised by the deliverables or regretted for the deliverables. Okay, so this one will keep us very transparent for with everyone within our stakeholders, within our team members, with everyone. Okay, and moving on to the next questions. How often do you discover during a sprint that there is not a shared understanding of the business needs or what you are building to meet it? Okay, so this is also one of the greatest question. In between, we will lose our track. We will lose what we are doing, why we are doing, that purpose itself. Okay, how frequently do you discover in a sprint review or after a release that a PBI does not meet the user or business need? Okay, so this one clarify the value, whether we are adding the expected value to the customer or we are just simply delivering things. Okay, it's not like we are implementing new features, but how much that feature is adding value to my customers. Okay, if I added or I implemented one new feature, but my customer is still using the existing feature, then what is the purpose of it? So when how we will bring them back to this one to make this efficiently? So that way we have to pose so many questions, how it is adding value to you the users. How about our understanding when we are progressing our sprint, or in between, how many times we feel that we missed the unified goals? So it will give some clarity on the value what we are adding to the users. And next question, how often are you not delivering a done increment? How often are you not meeting a sprint goal? This will give the picture breaking the product backlog increment. Say, so suppose if my team member is not delivering, there could be a number of reasons, I agree on this, but sometime if you're continuously missing the sprint goal, or if you're not delivering the done increment, then the reasons may be like we are not properly slicing the product backlog items. That could be also one of the reasons. So how often are you not delivering a done increment? This question will help you to have your product backlog refinement more effectively. Okay, when is this attributed to discovering mid sprint that PBIs are much bigger than you thought, or not sliced thin enough? Okay, so this one as well, mid sprint, when the sprint is in progress, you feel that this user story needs to be inherited still more to achieve this feature or achieve this goal. So that way, how many times your team members felt the same thing? So based on these questions, in our upcoming product backlog refinement session, we will have keep these things in our mind, and we will slice more. We will use some more techniques to slice the product backlog items. And moving on to the next question, forecasting. How much lead time is necessary for user, customers, and other stakeholders to increase the feature or function? What is the impact if they have less lead time? So we all know what is a lead time, what is a cycle time. So lead time is nothing but when we get the information, or when we get the user needs from the stakeholders or users, and when we are delivering things to the production or to the users. So this particular time, collecting the information, collecting the requirement, and delivering things, this is so called lead time. So how much lead time is necessary for users, customers, and other stakeholders? How much they are looking forward it? What if you are giving lesser lead time, and what if you're giving the greater lead time? So have that analysis as well to have this one. This is a kind of forecasting in future how we will work on the item. How much detail do users, customers, and other stakeholders need in release forecasting purposes? Impact if they have less detail. Okay, so how much detail users or customers needed, okay, in this release? Or if I'm not doing that, how much impact if it is causing? So this kind of analysis will help us to forecast the future. So in the upcoming product backlog refinement session, we will collect the details, more details, and the lead times also helps us to do our work properly. Okay, to have our deliverables appropriately based on the need of the customers. Moving on to the next question. How often do you discover dependencies during a sprint that jeopardize the sprint goal? How frequently we are discovering the dependencies? Okay, few dependencies will definitely jeopardize the sprint goal. I used to face this issue. In between, team members will rise, these are all my dependencies, so this it is jeopardizing my sprint goal. How long do PBI in a sprint stay blocked by dependencies? So this also we have to know how long a product backlog item is staying in my sprint because of this dependencies, because of this blocker. Okay, that also we have to identify. When do you have to reorder the product backlog to account for dependencies? And how much of an impact does this have on the product owner's ability to optimize value, reduce dependencies? Okay, so these are all the questions will help you to reduce the dependencies before even when you start your sprint. Okay, pose this question in the product backlog refinement so that you can easily come over that. And the last point, how are you adapting the product backlog to reflect new learning about the product's evolving capabilities and how users are responding to the changes? What opportunities have been missed? What prevented you from responding sooner? So, these questions will help you and your team member, you in the sense your complete team, your complete Scrum team to learn or evolve on the updating technology or the trending technologies or things or opportunities what we have missed. Okay, how we can respond sooner to the end users based on the need. Okay, so this is just picture. Sometimes we don't want to do so many items, do refinement of so many items. Sometimes don't do the less prioritization as well. And that less prioritization, what I mean is that always be ready with your product backlog items for next 2 sprints. Don't have insufficient product backlog items as well, and also don't refine too many items as well. Both are harmful. Okay, so have it just right. Just right is have just right numbers. Don't do for too much, don't do less as well. And moving on to the next slides. Knowledge is having the right answer, intelligence is asking the right questions. So, determine whether you are an intelligent person or knowledgeable person, but both are essential. So, asking powerful questions is one of the art we as a scrum master has to have. Okay, with the information gained from exploring the above questions, the scrum team can now consider these questions with a balance of benefits and waste in mind. How frequently do you want to do refinement, and how much time do you want to spend detailing the product backlog? This question as well we can ask, so that team members will start think how much time we are spending and how effectively we are spending the time to have this detail. And the next question is, who do you want to be involved in refinement? What knowledge and perspectives are needed? How will you enable shared understanding? And this is one of the key important, as I said already. One LinkedIn post I shared recently, in that post it was a clear rule: involve people who really needs. If you think you are not at all essential, you are not being heard, or you don't want to answer for anyone, you don't have any dependencies, please drop off. It is not a disrespectful thing, but remember you are wasting some other's time as well. So instead of that, please drop off and leave the meeting and have effectively do some productive work. Okay, so who are all we are going to involve in this refinement session, what knowledge and what perceptions you want. This is really important, nothing more than that. Okay, how much of your product backlog do you want to be ready before a sprint? What does ready mean to you? Again, the term ready seems to be universal or global term, but every organization, every team, every program varies with the team ready statement even. Okay, it's like how definition of done and acceptance criteria varies for every user story. So similarly, ready also varies according to the organization standards or according to the team as well. So what do you mean by ready? That is also a great question you should ask to your team members. How do you want to communicate important details about PBIs? What methods are working well and what methods are not? Okay, so how we are going to communicate important details? We have to have that plan, constructive plan. What methods are all we are working and what methods are not working? Identify this, use appropriate methods. How will you ensure you can see the whole and not get the bogged down in details? So this question as well, ask your team members how you are ensuring you can see the whole product visualization. It literally I can say. So how you are visualizing this one? That's the way you can answer. Okay. So look of a healthy PBA. How a healthy PBI looks. So a healthy PBI is not only having a features, it should have past. See, if you see in this chart, it's technical in the x-axis. If you see, it's past, future. In the y-axis down, business, technical. Okay, so it's not only having feature, it is also having maintenance activity, which we already delivered few items. In that few items we will be having some maintenance activity. And then technical depth, we must have some technical debt for sure. No one is infallible. We must deliver something mistakenly, or some kind of issues we must face now. So that kind of technical debt which happened in the past, we are doing this because of the past deliverables. And feature is our future. And architecture refactoring, like cost driven or any technologies emerging, technical stuff. Okay, if I'm so versions changes. Okay, previous days we were more using mainframe systems, and all. Nowadays we are changing, like even testing, so many testings we groomed, and we are moving to some automations things and all. So this way we have to move. Okay, what do you mean by maintenance again? If I split into, so undetected defects by design behavior, regression defects, technical debt na, it's like deliberate prudent, deliberate reckless, obsolescence. Sometimes we deliver some codes with unwanted code lines must be there. These are also kind of technical debt or performance issues, security issues. So many things are there for technical debt. Feature is as usual. We are implementing something new, and the architecture is cost driven or technical driven. This way we can segregate things. Okay, so this is how a PBI looks very healthy. Mature PBA. When we start this mm product, or when we start the team, we may not expect the PBI will be having everything. Only we will have features. Even after some 10 sprints, also most dominantly we will be having the features alone, not this technical debt, architecture refactoring, maintenance, and all. When we are grooming, when the teams get matured, when we are becoming self-organized and high performance team, then that time our products or PBI, not product, our PBI looks like this. Okay, like a feature is this green, and architecture and technical depth, and this light yellow is maintenance. So this is how a mature PBI looks like once we groomed ourselves. Okay, magical code to remember before PBI refinement. All the Scrum Masters, please lend your ears before you are pitching into PBI refinement. Please have this one. Never leave till tomorrow that which you can do today. It's Benjamin Franklin. I took this quote from, I think, Mike Cohen, Mountain Goat blog. This one was really fascinating for me. Okay, some works which you should have to do today. There is no other options. You have to do it today. But it's not like all the product backlog item you want to do it today. Never do today what you can do tomorrow. Something may occur to make you regret your premature action. Okay. Sometime we think, okay, we will do it by today itself and we will finish it off. But don't do that as well. Some work, what if something changed tomorrow for the work what you did already? Okay, it's a kind of rework, waste of time, waste of effort, and it will give some stress for you. It may be absurd. The work what you did was absurd, and it may not add any value to anyone. So that way we will start to regret. So some works should have do by tomorrow only. Okay, never put off until tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow. Mark Twain. Again, some product backlog, I said now 50% of the product backlog is will be ideas only. Okay, so don't try to refine that ideas, or don't try to detail down that ideas, or jog down that ideas at this moment. In the when the sprint progress, or when market emerges, there will be so many chances to take off that particular feature or particular user story from the product backlog itself. So that time, if we spend some time, and if we groomed that item, it is absolutely waste, right? So never do that. What if you think it can be done day after tomorrow, do that in day after tomorrow. So it's just right what you want. You just want next to 2 sprints product backlog refinement items, have that alone ready. Don't do it too much, or the meantime don't have less PBI refined as well. So this is how we have to do our product backlog refinement. Thank you so much for listening and continuing with me till the end of this video. Thank you all. We'll meet you once again in the next video. Bye.